Hi guys, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast. On today's episode, we have Ed Schuller. I hope you guys enjoy.
At least someone.
Yeah,
Mike Burgess definitely is.
So, someone's listening, mate. Don't worry. Someone's listening out there. But mate, Ed Schuller, welcome back for the second time on Two Worlds Collide podcast.
Great to be here, Sam.
You're
Thanks for having me back.
You're a big star these days, mate. Getting on Carl Stefanovic's show. Coming back here, where it all started.
Back to where it actually started. Yeah, no, not at all, mate. I remember watching your appearance on Carl. That was early days with his podcast, because I think he interviewed Pauline first, which then caused a massive bit of backlash. But then he got you and Chocky on. Is that right?
Yeah. And then the episode after, he had Anthony Albanese on
and didn't grill him at all.
And then he went
straight back to morning breakfast TV host.
And then he found out how passionate people are outside of the TV world.
Yeah.
And how much of a cult following I have, because people weren't happy about that. But mate, he's turned around. He's started to really push back, and he doesn't care anymore. Obviously, he's completely free from the mainstream media world, and he can do a lot more now. But I mean, mate, everyone has their early learning experiences, and understanding. I don't quite think he understood the industry that he was stepping into in regards to the podcast world.
A few less rules. Yeah. A few less rules, and it's sort of authenticity matters more than anything else, which I don't think is the case in the media industry, that's for sure. No. But no, I like Carl. Like you mentioned earlier, I managed to go on his show a couple of weeks back on a few things that we've uncovered in schools, which we might be able to chat about, but some of the graphic sexual education and stuff that's being pushed in schools, and that managed to blow up, and it's good to shed a fair bit of light on that.
Well, tell me about that.
So basically, we uncovered that there's a network of external organisations under the federal body called the SHRA, Sexual Reproductive Health Australia, and essentially they've received over $230 million in government funding in the last 5 years alone, and they provide sexual education services in private schools and in public schools, and it's some of the most graphic stuff. Like, I held it up on that podcast, and we might be able to link to it, but it's like blatant pornography. So it's pornography for secondary school students. It's in the teaching materials for the external agencies that come in to provide these sessions. It's for grade 1 and 2 students. We're talking like 5 or 6 year olds. Transgenderism. So just blatantly make sure it's written in there. Make sure the kids are aware that they may be born outside the gender binary. So it starts off really young. We've spoken as well about some of the stuff that's happened in childcare centres with Pride Month. Like you got all the lanyards, you've got the banners up, you've got love is love in like childcare centres. It really starts young. But it sort of reaches a crescendo in secondary school, where it's just blatant pornography that's being provided by really, really questionable individuals. And it's all government funded. So
$230 million we've funded towards these groups to practically provide our kids pornography at the young age of 5 and 6.
Well, that's one of the services they provide. Their ancillary services are transgender surgery and abortion.
Get the fuck out of here. That's happening. And our taxpayer funded money is paying it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Queensland Government has provided the most.
Who's this fucking organisation?
So SRHA, there are different state bodies. It's called Shine SA in South Australia. In Victoria, it used to be called Family Planning Australia, but they've sort of rebranded because they know that that's all about abortion care. And basically now they've become one of the leading providers of sexual education in the country.
Man, we are at war. I say this all the time. We are at war.
Yep.
I mean, you cannot say that any more lightly at the moment. Like, these fucking people want to destroy us, and they're coming after our kids.
Yeah, and you wonder why things like
the government's funding it. Fuck them.
Exactly, and they're making it harder for parents to take their kids out of school and provide homeschooling. And I agree that it's not the sign of a high trust society if everyone's homeschooling, but maybe address the root cause and don't make it harder for parents to protect their children from a lot of this stuff. And it's in private schools. Like the cases we spoke about on the podcast were at a primary and secondary co-ed it was an all-girls school on the Gold Coast, and it's like $20,000 a year tuition. And it's a Christian school, purportedly an Anglican school. So you're providing spending so much money on your kids' education, you're thinking they're getting the best. And from what we've heard from parents on the ground, I've been speaking with a lot of angry mums over the last month since the podcast, and this is widespread. And what they've basically said is, we've held town halls in our school requesting to see the material that's being shown before it's shown. and those requests have been denied, and the principals aren't really doing anything about it. So we're going to launch a campaign very shortly. We've been distracted from this because a lot of stuff's happened with Ben Carroll trying to shut us down in Red Union. I don't know if the timing's in Victoria, rather. He's trying to shut down Red Union, which
He's
is a group
sus as
that I
hell,
work
that
for.
guy. He's sus as hell.
Guy?
Yeah, Asian lesbian. And some of the Asian lesbian. Whoops, I was talking about Penny Wong. He looks like a middle-aged lesbian, that guy.
Probably more accurate, yeah. So we want to launch a massive campaign on that because parents just don't know what's happening. So we're going to be doing that shortly, but we've been, targeted, maybe off the back of that, but more so off the fact that we don't fund the Labor Party.
Do you think that you've been targeted off the back of the Karl Stefanovic stuff, but also, you guys don't give donations to the Labor Party, so they want to take out any type of union that doesn't donate to them?
Yeah, I think it's more so the latter. I mean, the timing's a bit suspect, but I think it's more so that. I mean, they're 3 months out from an election in Victoria. Labor are looking in all sorts. Like, the polling's pretty bad. If, like, they've announced the free dental,
$230 million.
$230 million.
It's like you guys are $100 billion in the red.
Do you know how bad the internal polling has to be for, like, Labor's right faction to tick that off? Like, they're pulling out all stops. So, for people I guess who haven't been following it, 2 weeks ago, I work for Red Union. So Red Union is a group of alternative unions, nurses, teachers, doctors, patriotic unions, just provide the bread and butter service of unions, don't fund political parties, and we're not left wing, and we're pretty proudly on that fact. So
there's your problem, right?
Exactly. And we're not affiliated with the Labor Party, and Labor have announced 2 weeks ago that they're introducing a bill to shut us down in the state of Victoria. Now, that has pretty big effects across the country because we're actually incorporated. I won't get too technical, but we're incorporated in Victoria, which means that all of our industrial services, like the bread and butter stuff of the union, are done through a body in Victoria. So they're trying to shut that down. This happened in 2022 in Queensland, the Palaszczuk government. Again, we stood against the vaccines during COVID, the vaccine mandates, that is, and we copped it then. So the Queensland government did the same thing, forced us out of the state, had to reincorporate in Victoria, and now Ben Carroll's coming after us because we don't provide funding. So that bill's in Parliament as we speak. We've managed to launch a pretty big campaign over the last 2 weeks to stop it. And it looks like it might actually fall over when it gets to the upper house because we've got the coalition now on board against it. We've got heaps of the crossbench as well. And we've even got the Greens to oppose it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's this hard left union called RAFU, which is an alternative to Ben Carroll's union. And again, it's a similar thing. I mean, obviously on perhaps the other end of the spectrum, but they're trying to shut them down because they don't fund the Labor Party as well. So it's this pretty big case of freedom of association. Like it's a human right, and it's a right that we've had in this country for a very long time. But it essentially says, the government can just choose if you're an approved union or not, based on whether you fund them politically, and if you're not, they just shut you down. So that's what we're fighting at the moment.
Yeah, that's very standard. If you don't give someone money within government house, then you potentially get shut down. It's just like these people are fucking scumbags.
It's because you can't be controlled. Like that's what it comes back to. You can't be controlled, and you're not helping them either retain power or get into power. Yeah. So that's what you're going to call it.
I always think to myself, when are they going to come for our lobbying group? I mean, you just let me know this morning they wrote a hit piece on us trying to come at me and Scott Challen, associating us with Nazis or fucking white supremacists or something like that.
Yeah.
It always comes, man. And it's going to come more and more. The more influence that we're gaining now, the bigger that we're getting and the more powerful that we're getting, and the support and traction that we're gaining right now with the followers and policies and political parties that are wanting to work with us. You know, like the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age, the ABC, they're all coming for us. They're all coming for me. They've tried it before, but I just sell more T-shirts when they do, so fuck them.
That's what they don't realise. I mean, it's the exact same thing from like 2015, 2016 Trump in the campaign. The more the media attacked him, they were like, we hate you guys. We hate what you're saying as the media, and we know that we can't trust you. And the Sydney Morning Herald, if you get a hit piece written about you from the Sydney Morning Herald, wear it as a badge of honour. Like they are the biggest rag in the country. I remember Paul Keating, former Labor Prime Minister, he's hated the Sydney Morning Herald for such a long period of time for different reasons. But they've come after right-wing organisations, come after Christian organisations recently as well. And, it's basically a sign that you're doing the right thing if you get that written about you. We mentioned as well, they come after the Stevens at Campion College, Stephen McInerney and Stephen Chavora, about this time last year.
Yeah, around the August the 30th rallies.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, so they again, it's influential people who, I mean, I know Stephen Chavora in particular very well, and he's been a great mentor on a lot of stuff, and they know that he's got influence, and that's why they attack him when they do stuff like that. So they don't realize that it has the opposite effect, and more people rise out of that sort of thing.
And I always just use it. You know, when all the media came after me when Jacinta Price was on the podcast?
Yeah.
And especially around the debate I had with What is an Australian, they all really attacked me. There was some pretty wild shit that was written, but I just remember sitting back and being like, oh man, my podcast numbers have never looked better.
Yeah.
My social media numbers have never looked better. I've never had to pack so many orders in my life. And at the end of the day, man, when you sit back and you see all these media articles written about you, you just go, I mean, I've got to be doing something, right?
Yeah.
And then, the back end of that is my business is literally talking. And what, you think that I have a job, that I can go in the normal world and get a job, and then that's going to affect that, or that's going to affect my family's jobs, or that's going to affect my family's businesses? It's like, none of this can affect me or anyone around me. Like, I've built this podcast platform off the support of people that love what I say. When people write stuff against me, it doesn't work anymore. None of this shit works. When any of these media organizations come after me, it doesn't work like it did maybe 5 or 10 years ago when they were coming after someone that put their neck out, that might have had businesses behind them, or might have been in Parliament House, or they might have been on local council. Like, now the rise of podcasts and talking shit on my podcast, that gets me more viewers and more traction and more sales of my t-shirts, that runs this show, I lap it up. I love it. And these people know it now. And it's hilarious. Whenever they write something about me, I just go, fuck yeah.
Well, it goes back to control. Like, they can't control what's being said.
And they hate that.
Exactly.
They hate that.
Exactly. And you just got a hit piece written about you in a national newspaper. And I mentioned it to you and you're like, I hadn't heard about it. No one reads them anymore. Like, it's very much for the political class, people who are interested in, the commentary, I suppose, the game of politics. But so much of it is just nonsense. There's no real fervent debate in any of these things. There's no real thoughtful analysis. It's really just hit pieces and tabloids, and that's what it's been for the last 5 years. And I think people are sick of it. That's why they've turned to long form, and it's why even things like Substack, like where you have a bit more freedom to write about things, and you don't have to worry about what editors are going to say, or you just have the ability to write a bit longer, and people who are actually interested are going to get involved in those arguments and debates. It's just far more powerful and a far better force for good in our country than the sort of short, sugar hit bullshit headlines that you get in mainstream media.
Oh, I mean, look at the Sydney Swans players.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows what happened in that room, but everyone's talking about it like they murdered and raped those girls.
Well,
and no one knows what happened, and this is trolled by media. And then they go after the Richmond players a few days later, and your Hannah Ferguson types of the world who are toxic feminists, and then your beta males, Mitch Brown and that prune dork, they try and run this story over a few days like these guys literally raped and killed these girls in that room. And it's coming out now that, yeah, they definitely did the wrong thing by partying in the first place, but they might actually not really be in the...
Well, they still haven't been interviewed by police.
And then all these people, which I just mentioned, came after him hard. They've lost all these sponsorship deals now. For what? For them to be potentially proven not guilty?
Yeah, it's trial by media, and it's happened so many times. But they choose what they want to talk about, and the rest of the public, I guess, has just for so long had to go on with it. But I'll give you an example. I mean, I'm from Brisbane, 20 minutes away from where I live. About 2 weeks ago, it actually was a couple of days before the Sydney Swans incident on the Monday morning. A woman was walking on her morning walk, 23-year-old young woman, and she was raped, some guy driving past, I think he was a New Zealand immigrant. He basically pulled over on his way to work, saw her walking, dragged her into a bush and did horrible things to her. That's in like a pretty, fine suburb in Brisbane. It's a good area, and no one's speaking about that. A week prior, there was the luring of a 27-year-old man using Tinder, and basically these youths whose identity is still not being revealed, but that generally means that they're immigrants. They basically bashed and killed a man. So they lured him to their house under the impression that it was an 18-year-old girl on Tinder. He goes there for a date and he's killed by 4 youths.
And then
you don't hear about it.
Yeah, and then a couple of days after the Sydney Swans incident, an Afghan immigrant stabs 2 females with a 22-centimetre knife in Melbourne, just randomly stabs her. And then he asked the courts to send him or deport him back to Afghan. And then it was only just recently, yesterday or the day before, you had an African immigrant that came up and stabbed a 40-year-old female with a pair of scissors in front of a police station, and that female was taking her little boy who had brain cancer to get checks in the city. And then the little son has brain cancer tried to step in, and that fucking Afghan or that African immigrant punched him in the head.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, those people need to be put down, get taken out of our society, or either deported. But like, where's all these other people? Hannah Ferguson, Prune Dork, where's the mainstream media, where's the AFL greats, where's the socialist social media commentators, where's all these socialist government members, where's that beta male Mitch Brown in calling out these attacks on women? Or is it only attacks on women that people want to call out when it's white AFL footy players?
It's just the complete confusion of morality in our country. I mean, again, those incidents that we discovered get very little coverage. They couldn't hide that one in Melbourne the other day. I mean, I was down in the CBD. It happened about 10 minutes from where I was staying. And I've got a story from last night when I was going to get a drink with a mate about something that happened in the CBD. And they just can't, just the moral confusion. I mean, we're talking all of this country's attention on whether or not something was, whether there was a 4th slap on the ass of a stripper.
Without paying $50.
On a, and all of these incidents are happening, and these are just the ones that are reported on. Like, this is what we're enraged about. This is what MPs are coming out and speaking out against. Like, the complete moral confusion of our country. But I was in Melbourne last night trying to defeat this bill for Red Union, and I was walking, and this crackhead just, this is Melbourne CBD, absolute crackhead's just yelling at the top of his lungs at 2 young women right in front of him. They've frozen, sort of the fight, flight, or freeze, and they just couldn't do anything. And he's this 55-year-old big dude, just completely cracked out. And this sort of goes more broadly to just the acceptance of, I guess, mental illness in our country. I mean, we need to bring back asylums, and we need to bring them back in a big order.
I've been saying this for a long time.
100%.
And people need to be kept out of society. They're a danger to us, and they need to be kept away for their own good and for the good of the Australian population.
100%. And these 2 women, I mean, what can they do in that situation? I mean, it's lucky I was walking past with a mate, and we intervened, and by God's grace, we didn't get punched in the head.
Good for you, though, because a lot of people don't. So well done.
I think it's an obligation that you have as a man when that sort of stuff happens. But we were walking there, and again turned his anger away, and it's just like, well, we did that. 5 minutes later, he'll be doing it to someone else. Like, there's no real justice to be served. If that happened 20 years ago, that's making the news. The fact that there's that sort of abuse happening, physical or not. But it's just such an unsafe place, and Sydney's the same, and it's coming to a city near you. Like, if you go out, exactly.
The amount of people that Peter Malinauskas has imported over the past 4 or 5 years, and we've doubled our debt as well.
Yeah.
When they start doubling debt and printing more money, you know that the third world's getting flooded in just to prop up their GDP, right? You know that's happening. And that's what Peter Malinauskas has done. But he's done a really good job in clouding everyone in their judgment, because he gives us stuff like Gather Round, Live Golf, and he gets in people like Katy Perry to keep us distracted.
Yep.
So he's really good at that. Bread and circus. But really, the economy is dying here, and we have the world's greatest uranium about 500 or 600 kilometers north of here. But we've got still a whole bunch of green renewables that don't do shit.
Yeah, world's largest uranium supply, 3rd largest coal supply.
But we just shut down our coal plant in Port Pirie, and we're about to shut down our gas plant here as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we are screwed, mate.
Exactly. But the fact is, there is no need for us to be, but for the self-hating politics that has just infested us. Like you said, those critical minerals, the resources that we have. Lithium, it's like one of the most sought after things in the world at the moment. We have the greatest supply in the world, and we export it cheaply, and we use very little of it for ourselves. Same with uranium. Obviously, with the ban, we're exporting it so cheaply and we don't use it for ourselves. So it is completely inexcusable for the fact that we have such expensive groceries, that the main driver of that is energy prices. Everything does come back to energy. The fact that we've got some of the most expensive energy for the resources that we have is just so inexcusable, and both sides of politics are completely culpable for it. Like, this has been a policy position, whether it's the climate change sort of alarmism that had taken hold of institutions and political parties throughout the 2010s, whatever it might be, they've just completely seeded the ground and made us into a very, very poor country very quickly, when we have the potential to be extraordinarily prosperous with very little, innovation required. It's something that's pretty stock standard. We've been blessed by God with all of these resources, and we just hate ourselves that much that we export it cheaply for other countries like India, like China, like Japan to burn, in the case of coal, burn coal cheaply, where we still spend more money. And then we wonder, and we'll go after the supermarkets. It's supermarket gouging. That's the issue. And it's like, yeah, there shouldn't be a duopoly. I agree with that. We should encourage a small enterprise more, and price gouging shouldn't be as, frequent as it is.
But what does it come back to?
Exactly. It comes back to the supplies. It comes back to the fact that, we're a pretty big country.
Comes back to energy.
Exactly. Yeah, we're a pretty big country. You have to drive things around, and what's powering that? Our woeful energy use.
Yeah, I want to touch on a point that you made before with both sides of politics that got captured by this climate change hysteria that turned out to be a flat out lie, right? And even if it isn't a flat out lie, what Australia can actually do from it, with a point of being 1% of the global emissions. And that 1% of the global emissions, that was taken a couple of years ago, right? China and India are increasing their emissions every single year by a large amount. So that means that Australia would not be at 1%. We would probably be at 0.5%.
Yeah.
And the more they produce and the less we cut back here, and see our power bills go completely north. It's completely insane. But I can see how it happens, because there was no one to push back on it 10 years ago when they got hundreds of thousands of school kids all around the world to go march with Greta Thunberg, who was a psychological manipulation plant. And I've said this time and time again, she was put there by these green billionaires and backed by these green billionaires to stand in front of the world and say, how dare you take my life away? How dare you? Remember that?
Yep.
And she was put there by the green billionaires. So the suits in Canberra, the suits in Washington, DC, and the suits in Europe didn't say no. Because if you talk back against a little girl that she's telling you that, you're stealing her future away from her, you're going to be seen as a bad man, a misogynistic man.
This is guilt tripping.
How dare you? And who didn't fall for that shit? People that weren't Western countries. Russia didn't fall for that.
Yep.
China didn't fall for that. India didn't fall for that. You think Israel fell for that? I don't think so. Iran didn't.
Yep.
But why is it that only the Western powers fell for that?
It's a good point. I mean, you got to ask that question about why are we falling for so many of the social rot that's come as well? Like why so much of the population genuinely believe that you can change your sex by chopping off your genitals and saying that or not even doing that, like just saying that. Like why? It comes back to just this complete confusion, moral confusion first, but I think just a complete disregard for the truth. Like it's been spoken about a fair bit. We live in a post-truth world where truth is subjective all of a sudden. No, it is objective, and the source of that, as you well know, that I profess is Jesus Christ, and the fact that we've strayed so much, at least for our moral guidance and more broadly for our own personal beliefs as a country comprised of individuals, the fact that we've strayed so much from that is necessarily going to lead to just complete confusion. And we see so many of the fruits of that today. So, I mean, I sort of think one of the greatest thing to revive our nation is a revival itself. It's people coming back to submitting themselves under God, believing in Christ, and organizing our country in a way that honors God and honors Christ. And I think when you look at the countries, and you look at our country that's done that previously, you go back 50 or 60 years, Australia is objectively a God-honouring country. I mean, we've built something insanely sophisticated in the span of basically 100 years. You've gone from nothing to a complete, fully fledged Western country in 120 years or whatever it was.
And it became one of the greatest countries on earth.
100%. 100%. Up until even the point, and there were signs of decline, but even in the 70s, in the 80s, like there was a real chance for us to, and there still is, but it's a long way away now, to become a superpower. Like the population, sure, we don't have the population of a China or Russia. I understand
per capita, we can become an absolute superpower.
100%.
Per capita.
And we can, like, we've got a lot of land. We've got a lot of influence in the region if we were to capitalize on the good things that we have. But I attribute it to a loss of faith. I attribute it to an adoption of worldly ideologies instead of that, which is sort of the climate change stuff. It's the feminism. The feminism is a cancer.
Toxic feminism.
But from the 60s onward, 100%. And it's things like, I mean, people often talk about gay marriage. I agree with that. Obviously, as a Christian, it's not a thing. But you go back in the 70s.
That was a Trojan horse, though, when they allowed gay marriage, because that opened up all the transgender stuff.
Oh, for sure. They called it the slippery slope fallacy. They said, oh, no, you're just saying, but then people will be able to say that they want to marry an inanimate object, or, that they identify as a whatever. And it's like...
It happened.
Corey
Bernardi was right.
Yeah, Corey Bernardi was right. And I'm liking how much he's doubling down now.
It's awesome.
It's incredible. Like that video that went viral. I think he's getting sued or something.
He's getting sued by the kids' parents.
That's right.
And oh man,
have they done a fundraiser on that yet? They're pretty good at fundraising. One Nation. I'll give them that. They've got to capitalize on that.
Yeah. That was good.
But yeah, my point being, the stuff in the 60s and the 70s, the moral confusion, the turning away from Christ, I think necessarily resulted in a lot of this. And no-fault divorce comes in the 70s, and that sort of undermines the institution of marriage, which is, the bedrock of the family, which is the bedrock of the country. And when you've got families that turn on the side, I mean, the Lindsay Clancy case in the US, this is sort of where it heads to, where we've got families just inwardly turning in on each other, outside forces from outside the family just ripping things apart, and it's horrific. It's horrific.
That's a tough one, eh? It's if I want to wait until I comment for the case to run its course.
Yep.
Right. So then we actually know, because there's so many theories out there, right? You just after COVID, I ain't trusting shit.
Yep.
So once it gets handed down in court and we know the court findings, then I'll comment on it. But it's like, man, if she killed those 3 kids, I don't care. I understand that there's like the pharmaceutical world may aid in someone and their process.
She was on 14 different antidepressants or something like that.
So I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, if you killed someone and in fact you killed 3 kids, then you should not see the outside of a prison cell for the rest of your life.
I couldn't agree more.
If you are on all these antidepressants and stuff like that, I mean, that's still, for example, let's say if you're pissed, drunk, you king hit someone, he hits the ground, hits the floor, you can't just say, I'm on alcohol and I'm drunk.
Yeah, because you drink driving. Yeah, exactly.
You drink driving. Crash, unfortunately, you murdered 3 little kids.
Yeah.
And yes, this world might have aided towards that, and if that happens, that needs to do a full investigation in on that, and a whole bunch of shit needs to heads need a role with that as well. The doctors involved, the pharmaceutical companies involved, all their legislation agencies that can allow that type of stuff to happen. But you murdered 3 kids and you need to go to prison.
Yeah, and we've got to protect the innocent. And I think this, obviously there are things that are coming out in the case that's pretty live, and there's obviously more commentary on it than there is facts at the moment. But you look at, similar to the Charlie Kirk thing, people will debate the event itself and all of the facts there. A lot of them are in contention. Put that to one side. The reaction should send a shiver down your spine. The fact that there are millions of women now filming TikToks of themselves saying, "Oh, I understand you, Lindsay," holding their babies. Yeah. The fact that you've had women out the fact that they raised $1 million for a triple child killer, like. Whatever the law is in the state, if the death penalty exists, it's a biblical approach to take the life of those who have taken the innocents. And I think if capital punishment is in order in that state, I wouldn't hesitate to see that done, because it's just not. We cannot make a standard in this civilization that we share in part with the US. That innocent life is just so discardable. And I think that has happened. And this take might annoy a few people. But think about the last 30 or 40 years, even longer, with abortion. If we've gone from, no, it should be safe, legal, and we've gone from, no, it's completely wrong, which I believe is the right take, to safe, legal, and rare, you know, in the cases of rape and incest and, you know, maybe like if there's extenuating circumstances, to 8-week heartbeat, to second trimester, to up until the moment of birth. Why is it not going to keep going until after? You're going to see people advocating for post-birth abortions. And you look at something like this and you're like, how are there millions of women supporting a triple child killer? I think that's one of the reasons. We've devalued life so much inside the womb. It's necessarily going to be devalued outside the womb. And we've sort of seen that as a consequence with dropping birth rates anyway, because people just don't value children. People don't value the obligation.
Family.
They don't value the family. They don't value the obligation that we have to reproduce, just a fundamental thing as humans, for those that are able. And they don't value that. So what happens is they don't choose to have children. The birth rates plummets and we get flooded with mass immigration to justify it. But ultimately, that core issue is there is just a disregard for life. And it's a shocking case. The response has shocked me. It's pretty devastating, similar to the Charlie Kirk thing. I mean, you have people celebrating on the streets. You have all of these leftists coming out saying, he deserved it.
Hannah Ferguson.
Hannah Ferguson
was a big one, man. She sat there and wrote some article about it saying political violence is sometimes necessary. So when you're in when she potentially knocks out Anthony Albanese and gets his seat, that's not going to happen, but is because she's just doing it for a stunt, right? Because there's no way she's going to beat Anthony Albanese in his own seat. Like, let's be honest now. But is political violence okay then when you're a parliament member?
I think our view will change very quickly.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is political violence okay then?
Yeah.
So are we just allowed to assassinate people that we don't agree with these days?
Yeah, well, I think that's the modern...
That's pretty much what she was saying, right?
That's the modern left. And I think people have to understand, particularly when there's such a divide on something like this issue. Now, you have a lot of people who would say that they're left-wing and say, this is horrifying, this is not good. But the amount of people that are supporting a triple child murderer in this case really shows you that we are at war. And yes, there are other factors. Yes, there are foreign interests. Yes, there is all of this. But there is a self-hating core of our population, the left, that want to see everything that we hold dear and love destroyed. Because they hate themselves. They hate good things. They hate beauty. This is why we get the most depressing infrastructure of all time in the last 50 years in our country.
Because they hate that left top hand symbol behind that flag.
Yeah,
they hate that. They hate that we've come here and settled on a bit of land, made it the greatest country on earth in 120 years. Yeah. They hate that. They hate the fact that they were a part of that because the color of their skin makes them a part of that. Right, because that's what we've been told over the time and time again. They just hate that, and they want to destroy themselves and destroy their country, but they don't really realize what they're destroying and what will come after them.
Yeah,
they don't realize.
No, there's always going to be a stronger reaction.
I've seen it. I've seen it overseas.
Yeah,
trust me. You get the socialists that are pairing up with the Islamists, which are pairing up with the Greenies, which are pairing up with the communists. Who's going to win out of that? You know which one's going to win out of that.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, we've seen it throughout all of human history. Whenever this stuff's pushed, whenever there's such moral degradation, there's a stronger reaction to it because people, the truth still exists. If the left choose to ignore it or not, the truth still exists. People still have a brain. They still have mental faculty. They still have, it's Christian belief that the law of God is written on every single person's heart. So there is that ability to recognize something's wrong here. Like objectively, something is wrong. But when you've got people on the left that are such moral relativists, and it's like, oh yeah, rape's only bad because it's not consensual, or rape's not objectively bad. It's just sort of subjective, and in some cultures, it's actually okay. Like that might seem insane to say, and it is, but people believe this stuff. People on the left believe this stuff. So I think, we've got to remind ourselves certainly that we're at war with a lot of these people, and there's not a whole lot of peace to be made with people who are not just enemies of all the things that we believe in, but ultimately enemies of God, and will stop at nothing to tear down that which is good.
I was reading some of their Greens policies the other day over in Perth, because they got the harbour
Yeah, Secret Harbour.
Secret Harbour by-election. I was reading some of their policies. It's like they want to destroy the Department of Border Force or something. So they want to destroy Border Force. They want to destroy something else to do with like immigration and just open up the floodgates.
Yeah.
And then there was some stuff which was directly probably linked to you about destroying certain departments that have some bit of say over what our kids are being taught, and then they just want to bring in like biology doesn't matter, there's nothing of this, there's nothing of that. They want to teach like they want to take religion away. It's like you read their policies and you're like, holy shit, this is fucked.
Well, at least they're honest about it.
I know.
Like a lot of people are. Like the Labor Party won't be honest about their sort of agenda. Like they'll have to dress it up in we still represent the working class.
They've got a Woodside lobbyist running for their position against that One Nation guy who's like a gym owner in the area. We've got a Woodside lobbyist that's probably going to win over the gym owner in the area. And it's like that's how far Labor have come. Normally it would be switched around.
Yeah.
Normally, like if someone on the right side of politics, you know, like
big
that,
business, something like that.
It would be connected to like say a certain type of lobbying. Yep. Now it's like Labor's the party of the big business, the billionaires, and they tell us that that's not the case, but they are. But then you get One Nation, who's like, you should see all the One Nation candidates here. They were just all like, one was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
You know, another couple were just workers in their areas.
Yep.
Like it's like Carlos here.
Canberra.
He was him and his mate ran a building company together.
Yep.
It's like,
well, One Nation, I think, has become the party of the working class, and I've got a lot of disagreements with some of their policies and obviously the way that they prosecute it, and confusingly so. Maybe we can touch on that, but Labor have become the party of big business. You saw it during the Voice campaign. I mean, look at all of the big businesses that came in and funded the yes vote in the Voice campaign. Qantas,
they're a big one,
and all the big unions as well.
Yeah.
When their actual union members clearly were against it, they voted for it. Like there's a lot of union members in the country, and it was overwhelmingly rejected. So it was really just this top end of town party because they've realized, well, we're going to have to compromise on any of our core beliefs around, you know, protecting the working class and actually, you know, providing a good opportunity for them in this country, because they've had to do deals and they've had to basically come to peace with the fact that they have to be a high migration party as well. And high immigration is objectively terrible for the working class of this country. It undercuts their wages. It basically makes them no more than an economic unit in their own country, and one that demands sort of award level wages or, you know, basic human rights and working conditions, compared to people who can get a quarter of that but still be happy because it's better than where they've come from overseas. So Labor have sort of had to do this cognitive dissonance on the fact that they are the party of the working class while absolutely undermining the working class with mass immigration. And that's why, you know, my role at Red Union, I speak out against mass immigration a lot, because it is one of the worst things for the working class. It is single-handedly worsening this housing crisis. And the energy stuff comes into that, the fact that, you know, goods cost so much to be able to build, the fact that there's so many building and construction restrictions, that's all true. But on the demand side, we're flooding our country with immigrants that need somewhere to live. And that means people who live here, who were born here, cannot buy a house in their own suburb, let alone within a 50-kilometre radius, let alone at all for the foreseeable future, because of this policy. So that's why, I mean, mass immigration is not the only issue, but it is the biggest issue in the country at the moment. And
that's it. If you fix immigration and energy, a lot of shit will take care of itself. And then actually, if you start to fix the debt and we start to pay down that debt, I mean, per capita, Australians will be loving it. They will be silently loving it, and probably very openly loving it, because life will become much easier for them. You know what I mean? And you know, like this gaslighting Labor government that continuously tells us, "Oh no, it's not the people that are causing this housing crisis. It's the landlords being too greedy." And then they pull away negative gearing, and then they shoot up fucking rent by another 20%. It's like, whatever you guys touch, they just turn to shit. Like, well, they pull away negative gearing, but then say, oh, only negative gearing on new builds. So it's like, okay, so no young people are going to be able to buy they're going to be competing against, you know, people with a massive property portfolio for a new build. So it's like, okay, I guess young people just can live in older homes. And look, I mean, there's nothing wrong with older homes, but if the point is to sort of fix the housing crisis, is it really helping it if
if you're just saying young people, you're really going to have no chance. You're going to be competing with all the investors in the company trying to build a new home, trying to buy a new build.
Hey, I just want to touch on something you said before in regards to One Nation and their communication.
Yeah.
And before I ask you about it, I just want to say, I think they're getting very unfairly hit in the media for a few reasons, and obviously because the establishment is very, very scared of them, right? But they're getting treated at the moment like they have 110 members in Parliament House, and they realistically only have 7 members. They only have the resource and staff of 7 members that goes with that, but they are getting treated and judged like they have 140 members in Parliament, like they are Labor.
Yep.
And I understand with the polls being the way they are, there is a lot of scrutiny on them, but the way Australia, the public, other politicians, the media, and the entire population is judging them like they are a major party, but they only have the resources of 7 members or 8 members or whatever they had. I've never seen anything like it before.
It's a unique situation, but it does parallel with what's happening in the UK at the moment with Reform UK. So they've had 5 MPs for the last, 2 or 3 years since the election, 2 years since the election there. But they've become, again, based on mass immigration. It's based on one single issue. Cos Samaras won't want to admit it, but it's largely about mass immigration and a hatred of the existing political parties that have betrayed the country. Like they've sold us out to foreign interests. So that's sort of the key issue here. But Reform over there have copped a similar level of basic, whether it's ideological purity tests, which, the left do on one another, but it's basically a matter of, if you say something slightly wrong, then, we're going to condemn you to failure rather than try to fix it. I'm a big supporter of Restore and Rupert Lowe. I think he gets it right far more often than Nigel Farage does. But on the point of the resourcing, they've basically become the pseudo opposition with a tenth of the MPs as the actual opposition. And there's not a whole lot of criticism of the actual opposition anymore because people are like, I don't really have any thoughts. I just don't care on them. But all the attention's come onto One Nation. So it's a fair point that you raise. I think still that they do have a pretty big responsibility to get some of these things right. I think on him, like I would forgive it if, the spokespeople were just getting some of the education policy slightly wrong, or they didn't quite understand exactly how their housing taxes and stuff might work. But you're the immigration party, like they are a single issue party. Generally speaking, they'll protest that, but they were at 6% before Bondi, now they're at 30%. So you've got to get that right. So I would hope that they get that right sooner rather than later. There's been some clarification.
There needs to be more, and I think like I say with everyone though, no one will ever go hard enough for my personal immigration. Like, because if it was up to me, the deportations would have started yesterday. There'd be a lot of people told that they have to remigrate home over the next 5 years. We will stop immigration, no more citizenships unless you're born here. And then I would be giving a lot of funding and a lot of allocation, a lot of tax cuts to second and third generation Australians to start having more kids.
Yep.
And I don't care if that's discriminatory. Fuck you. We need to save Australia. But my policy group, or my lobbying group, has an immigration policy of 80,000 gross. And then we also want to attack the visa sector, which has been absolutely taken advantage of over the last couple of decades. For example, the Bondi shooter, he was a student visa.
Yeah. It's a backdoor into the country.
And Maroon Freaky, student visa.
Yeah.
And these student visas and all these people that are coming here on student visas, it's a breeding ground to assist universities to indoctrinate our next generation coming through with socialism and communism and Marxism. And so that sector needs to be destroyed. Like these students, like what happened in COVID, they can study online from that part of the globe, and the universities can still take their cut with getting this in. But the university is one big system to indoctrinate them and then keep them peddled into the workforce, struggle to make anything after that because these HECS debts are so high. So that needs to be tackled as well. But I mean, my lobby group's immigration policy is for 80,000 gross a year, but that obviously allows for 70,000 people to come back in. So over the course of 5 or 6 years, with getting or cancelling the visa of 1.4 million bridging visas, student visas, we would have a net negative migration over a lot of years of potentially 1 million people, and that's what the country needs. And that's what I'm willing to stand behind and stand by, and we are going to be lobbying to One Nation, Liberal Party, anyone that wants to work with us upcoming to the next election, that policy needs to be their policy. And we're going to run rallies all around the country starting on the 13th of September up in Brisbane. Then we're going to move all around the country, and we are going to lobby our best and our hardest. And we're going to get Pauline on stage, we're going to get Malcolm Roberts on stage, we're going to get other One Nation candidates on stage. If Matt Canavan wants to come on, he can come on. If John Ruddick wants to come on in Sydney, he can come on. But we are going to get these politicians on stage, and we're going to try and hold them to account of the Australian lobbying group's immigration policy, which is far better than any current political party and their immigration policy. So that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I agree with so much of that, and it's good to have the Australian lobby group as that arm. I know that we started a lot of those rallies this time last year, and from that, Scott and yourself obviously wanted to build something with teeth that can be a vehicle for change.
We're noticing the attacks coming now as well,
and that's a good sign.
Sydney Morning Herald, they're realising now some of the influence and power that we've got. We've got these rallies happening all around Australia. They're getting scared.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the hit piece is going to come from the ABC. They're going to try and link us to a whole bunch of stuff. The Age will come after us. The Sydney Morning Herald, they'll start talking about us a lot. Hopefully Anthony Albanese starts to have digs at us, and man, I'm ready for war with these fuckers.
Yeah,
actually ready for war.
Yeah, there's going to be hit pieces galore, and it'll
verbal war.
Yeah,
verbal war,
political war,
for anyone listening out there. Political
for the Hannah
war.
Fergusons of the world, don't take that out of context.
Yeah. But if you want to, fuck you.
I'm saying for her purpose, we don't want. She already thinks it's a good thing.
It's toxic feminists, mate, ruining Australia.
Yeah, it's certainly been one of the main factors in our sort of moral degradation. That's for certain. So, yeah, I think the immigration issue is really coming to a head. It's going to be the biggest issue at the next federal election. And One Nation, the good news is they've got time on their side to get it right, but they still have to get it right. And people like David Farley really need to pull their head in. And know that they were elected off the back of one issue, which was immigration. And that's what he has to represent. Not elected because he's a big agribusiness guy and, wanted to get more, fruit pickers into the electorate. That's not what you were elected for. And he should know that. And I think he does deep down. So he really has to shut up and toe the party line on this, I think.
He got set up massively, and not set up from misspeaking, set up by the ABC for them truly getting to the depth of what he wants. You know what I mean? I think so. You know what I mean? They heard him during the campaign when he said that immigration of 300,000 it was too low. They knew that they were getting him for that. They set up a whole bunch of line of questions to get that out of him, and bang, you got your clip moment. Half of the right is now going to war with each other. But you know what? Maybe we need to have this. Maybe we need to iron these issues out a year before the election, because if this popped up too much for the election, the show's over.
Yeah.
So at least this is coming out now. At least that One Nation can see this, rectify it. At least the rallies can now speak to, and we don't only want to speak to One Nation. We want to speak to any party that wants to work with us on immigration and our policy and or adopt our policy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Labor Party and Greens can go get fucked, right, because they've destroyed this country, so we probably won't work with them. But anyone else we're willing to.
I don't think they've got ears for us.
No.
But yeah, I mean, and it's been frustrating. I've seen, Tony Abbott did a podcast with the IPA, I think a week and a half ago. I watched that, and on that one, starts off by him saying, I don't believe we should have an immigration policy based off, nationality or religion. It should be based off values. That's the same thing from 10, 15 years ago.
What's our values tied to then?
Exactly.
What's our values tied to?
I couldn't provide you an answer. That's the point. No, but what are the values tied to? People couldn't agree on the values. And this is one of my big things, is that we've separated so much our Anglo-Celtic heritage and our Christian belief from the values that necessarily flow from them. And we've separated it and then said, okay, these values, they're the only thing that matters, and we throw away the source of the values. But it's like, well, once you do that, it can just be compromised and changed time and time again, which is what's happened. We went from being a homogeneous society, as Robert Menzies rightly said, so long as we can keep it, Australia should be a homogeneous society. Back in the 1940s, we've gone from that to, no, a key Australian value is multiculturalism. So the values can change. You have to get back to the core of it, and I believe strongly that Australia is an Anglo-Celtic country. We've spoken about what an Australian is in the past, and I think a lot of that's being ironed out, which is good. I think we have to deal in reality. It doesn't denote any...
We had to have that debate.
Yeah, it doesn't denote any lesser moral worth, no less worth before God if you're a Japanese person or an Australian. But when we're talking about keeping a country, and a nation, it sort of matters. Like it matters a fair bit. And then the second part of that, which I think is a fundamental part, is our Christian foundation as a country, and not just the values that come with it, not just the Christian ethic and the moral framework and even the legal framework that comes from it. But when we have a population who at Federation in 1901 was 96% Christian, even up until the 1950s, I think it was 46% of Australians went to church weekly. That's dropped to 7% now. And the overall Christian population, I mean, we've just done the census, but it'll probably be around 40%. I think it's steadily declined, largely due to the fact that we are importing so many people that are antithetical to that identity. And also the fact that self-hating Australians are sort of drawing themselves away from the faith. But I think that's the fundamental thing. I think, and I guess a distinction which might... be a bit abrasive to some of the listeners is it's not just a matter of embracing the values, in my view. I think that's part of the problem. I think it's a big part of the problem. You have to embrace the source of the values. Otherwise, they will just be compromised over time. And it might seem in the moment that it's like, no, yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm on your side. A lot of this stuff ultimately comes back to for or against Christ. And that belief in Christ, that overwhelming change that comes from a belief in Christ and a profession of the faith and a walking out of that faith is the sort of thing that builds civilizations. And that's our country's history. That's our civilization's history. And it will remain our history if we don't embrace it. And we have to make sure that is the path that we're going on. So that's sort of my strong view. I know that you've had some thoughts on this sort of thing in the past.
Yeah, no, I agree with it as well. Obviously we have freedom of choice here, so if people don't want to go to church or don't want to be involved with Christ, but I do think it needs to be like, for example, it needs to be strongly linked to our schooling system, right? Because like when I grew up, it was strongly linked to that schooling system. It was like everyone was a little bit better person because of it, right? And it's just that's just the cold hard fact. But someone like Anthony Albanese and the left side of politics, the Teals, have you? What are they called? They're called community something. No, they're called like it starts with a B.
Right.
The Brethren.
Yes. The Plymouth Brethren.
Exclusive. Yeah. Have you seen Anthony Albanese, the Teals and the Greens come after them this week for saying they did something and funded some people to
help at the last election?
I think they were saying they funded someone to like go scream at politicians at the last election or something like that. And it's like, okay, even if they did do that, what's wrong with that? Like they didn't pay them to like physically attack you.
Yeah.
And like what happens on the left side of politics? What socialists groom our kids in school and get them to rally against Pauline Hanson saying death to Pauline and fuck
that's just
Pauline.
Fine.
And that's okay?
Yeah.
So socialist groomers who are pedophiles can literally groom hundreds of thousands of kids in school, get them to turn on One Nation. But we're getting angry at a bunch of Christians that want to see the right side of politics win. Like Anthony Albanese is a fucking scumbag of a piece of shit. He's the first Prime Minister to not even swear on the Bible.
Yeah.
He's been captured by the Islamists.
Well,
he has to be. And then sorry to jump on that.
No.
That Monica Tealbird,
Monique Ryan?
Monique Ryan.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolute dirtbag of a person. Stands there, and I was watching it, like standing there or sitting there criticizing these Brethren church guys. Like she doesn't take $2 million from Climate 200 to parrot their bullshit lies. Like the hypocrisy is off the charts here. These people are evil scumbags, and they try and allude to the public that they're like a centre-right party. It's like, you guys are a fucking dangerous bunch of witches. That's what you are. And David Pocock on the back of that, wanting to bring in all these ISIS brides and wanting to bring these kids back. Hey, David Pocock, imagine if we got these ISIS brides and their kids and moved them in next door to you and made their kids go to kindergarten with your kids.
Yeah.
Huh? Because you live in your fucking bubble over there in Canberra, and you don't live in the real world. Because these type of decisions have consequences, you dipshit.
Yeah. I mean, I commented on the Brethren stuff on X throughout the week because, like you said, it's like there's a parliamentary inquiry going on. They're talking about it at Senate estimates, like the main, like, you know, rigorous, you know, part of our democracy that they proclaim. They're talking about that. There's the Prime Minister's commenting on it, all of this sort of stuff.
1 in 4 children are going to school without their fucking lunch.
Yeah.
And we're worried about a church group potentially funding the right side of politics or have anything to do with the right side of politics. It's like, all right, well, who funds you guys then?
Yeah.
Huh? What do the unions do? $15 billion and they practically put a whole bunch of cocaine on strippers' assholes and snorted off that? Does anyone want to fucking do a Senate inquiry on that, you bags of shit?
Well, $4 trillion in the superannuation industry, controlled by the unions to basically push the ESG stuff, make business bend the knee to their commands. I mean, they've taken over the country from a financial perspective, and they're in no place to give moral lectures to a bunch of people who want to get involved in politics in some way. But you could tell how coordinated it is as well, because Albanese gets up at the press conference and he's like, oh yeah, really shocked about this, and it's just really disgraceful, and kudos to the journalists for, you know, uncovering all of this. And it's like, you know, that they were dealing with the Prime Minister's office, you know that they were dealing with people in there to get the story out. That was make sure. That was 100%.
They all met together, they all think, well, let's go after them. And then if someone on the right side of politics does that, and then someone on the right side of politics calls out, you know, the Muslim groups that are coming out and backing certain candidates in certain areas, oh no, you can't do that because there's Islamophobic. What about the Christian phobia? Is there any sort of Christianity phobic out there? What about being an Australian phobic? Huh? What about white phobia out there? These pieces of shit, man.
Yeah, it comes back to
getting a little bit fired up today, there. Folks. Sorry,
mate, you can't question your passion. But no, it comes back to the self-hating stuff like that. Of course, they're going to hate the Christians, and more broadly, you know, the words of Christ himself were, if the world hates you, remember it hated me first. So that's going to be a label for any Christian. But when we talk about a country that's hating itself, it's going to hate the pillars. It's going to hate our Anglo-Celtic heritage. It's going to hate our Christian heritage. So yeah, I couldn't agree. But one thing I was going to say before we moved on was, you know, I couldn't agree more that we need the Christian ethic in education and permeating throughout our society. But where do you stand? Because I know we've had some conversations last week, and I know that you get people messaging you all the time. You know, we're you know, we're praying for you. You know, you're uncovering a lot of evil shit. Like there's so much going on that you're fighting against. So clearly there's just this overwhelming presence of evil in the world. There has to be a presence of good. Where are you sort of thinking? Where's your faith at, I guess, mate? I know it's a bit of a...
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I haven't spoke to my wife about this the other day. Like I said, I'm like, you know, because something in my life at the moment, everything just seems to work out.
Yeah.
Right? Like we went and got this... we went and started renting this this lease down at the warehouse.
Yeah. And
we had a whole bunch of merch orders in, and we had a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of bills in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, recently just signed a new sponsor, and like that it just came in at the right time, right? Yeah. And something else, and I don't want to say, it just happened at the right time. Like, I feel like there's something watching over me, and there's something that's behind me.
Yeah.
Whether that be like, whether that be, you know, Christ himself, or however I say it, because I don't even know how to say it, or whether that be something else, or whether that just be like divine luck, that something has my back, and no matter what happens, it always works out. Like ever since I started this podcast, everything has just worked out. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's going. I don't know who's doing it, but something is working out for me continuously. And like,
yeah, it's pretty powerful.
It just continuously happens. And it continuously, and like, I don't know if that's the Lord. I don't know if that's divine luck. I don't know if that's something else that is just, or I'm just making the right decisions, and more of the right decisions enable me to make better decisions, and I get more confident in that. I don't know what it is, but whatever is happening over the past 6 months, or ever since I've been talking up and going hard at this sort of stuff, things just fall in line for me. Like, you know, I'm looking for support and help with the podcast now, and hiring potentially some people. And like the other day, there's this like I was looking for a person to clip up and run a page for me. And when I was literally thinking about it, I never really look at my emails, and someone emailed me, an ex-military guy emailed me and said, bro, I'm just starting in this area. These are a couple ones that I did for you. Check them out. And it was like, instead of going out, wasting hours and hours trying to find who I want, he sent it to me, ex-military guy, I called him up, I said, bang, let's do it. Within a half an hour, we had all the accounts created, everything done. It took weeks and weeks of research and trying to find someone to get it to a position that I was happy with. But like, ex-military guy, interstate, which was a little bit disappointing, so I can't see him here, but like...
It's too good, too perfect to be a coincidence.
Just worked out, right? Yeah. And like, again, like other stuff and like other stuff when I have heaps of bills to pay, it's like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do this week? And then all of a sudden, I've had my best month in sales. It's like, and I didn't even post anything to try and get them sales. It's just like, it just happened. Or like... my YouTube numbers or my Facebook numbers are just going nuts, and it's like, oh man, I can pay this, I can pay that, I can do this, I can do that, I can do something at the studio now, I can build a studio down there and make it awesome because my numbers and my sales are so good. It's like 2 months ago, I'm like, I signed this lease, this warehouse. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do this?
Like a leap of faith in some respect. It's like, well, this is the right thing to do, but I'm not sure the practicalities of it. Like, it takes a lot of, like, what you're doing is you are fighting a lot of evil. And I'm glad that there are so many people that are praying for you, because honestly, mate, you are one of the people in the country doing it the most. You're uncovering some of the most horrendous things that are happening in the country, and you're speaking out against it. So you're going to cop backlash from that, not just from the godless leftists, but from the enemy himself. And I wonder, have you thought much about the gospel? Have you heard the gospel before, the gospel of Jesus Christ?
No, not really. Not really.
Can I say it succinctly?
Yeah, go.
So God loved this world so much that despite the fact we are fallen creatures and we sin and we have fallen far short of God's law, he sent his only son, Jesus Christ, who is God himself as well, to take that sacrifice for our sins on the cross, because he fulfilled God's law perfectly. Because we can look around and we can say, well, there's righteousness, there's good, there's evil. There must be some sort of order. There must be a law that we are breaking if there is so much disorder in the world. And if there is a perfect and holy God of all eternity and we're sinning against them, then something must be done for that, to reconcile us. And that's what Christ is. Christ is man, is God. It's God incarnate on earth, and on the cross, he dies. He takes our sins on that cross, and from rising 3 days later to sit at the right hand of the Father in heaven, that is what gives us the hope of eternal life. And through faith in him, not works, because we cannot clearly work our way up to heaven. We've fallen short too many times. We've already got sins that must be paid for. How are they paid for? Well, it's already done. It's already done from Christ on the cross. And there are going to be so many fruits of a belief in Christ. There are going to be so many fruits of enjoying the common grace of God through, a good community, through a good country, through fighting evil. Like, it's a genuinely good and righteous thing that's happening across this country at the moment. I think you're leading a big part of it. But that's the gospel. The gospel is Jesus Christ taking our sins on the cross, and through a mere faith in him and a turning of our life, a repenting and living in light of that reality, to honor God, to order our life, our own life, to honor God, to order our family, to order our country. That's part of it. So that, I guess, that wasn't as succinct as I would have liked, but that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's the most magnificent thing, because 2 or 3 years ago, I was completely outside of that. I had no clue. I looked around at the world and I thought, this is a horrible, evil place. Like, how is all this stuff happening in our country? How are there people who, support people chopping off, like kids chopping off their genitals and all of this sort of stuff? It's like, it's just so blatantly wrong and evil. And I'm like, well, how can these people be so absent from the truth? How can they be so absent from good? And the common denominator is there's just been an abandonment of Christ himself. And I found personally, and I know that my wife has as well throughout her journey, and there will be millions of Christians, if not over 1 billion worldwide, that would agree with this, there's an inward change in you once you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior that propels you further than you can ever imagine to order your life to that glory. So, mate, we're praying for you for sure, because it's an incredible thing. And I hope that it's something that more and more Australians grasp and come into, obviously because of the eternal reality. But in the meantime, I mean, politics, I was on a podcast the other day and I was talking about this. Politics is the exercise of desire. Like, people desire to sacrifice their kids for their career at the moment, whether that's just not having children or whether it's abortion. Women are desiring that. Men are desiring cheap, easy sex because guess what? I have no responsibilities, but I can still get my primal desire fixed. The beauty of the gospel and the beauty of regenerated souls in Christ is that it changes those desires more than any political policy can do, more than any public policy position can do. It is something inward, that when you are accountable, when you are saved in an eternal God and you're accountable to that God from that day forward, and you know that, mate, it'll get you up in the morning. And I know you got enough to get up for in the morning already. But yeah, that's the gospel.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had my hairdresser say the other day, and I think the people that told me this do listen to my podcast all the time. But even she said the other day, she's like, "Hey, just I know it's a bit weird, but my sister and her husband told me to tell you that they pray for you every single night."
Yeah,
it's like even the fucking hairdresser said it.
I know.
So it's like I don't know, like it's all just. And I hate this word. It's a journey because everyone uses it. Oh, I'm on this journey. I'm on this journey to get to where I'm going. It's
just
like,
don't say self-discovery. That's when it becomes gay.
It's like, shut up. But no. I mean, I'm pretty observant. I keep my eyes open on this, and I know that there's something there. I just don't know what it is yet. But I assume, we'll find out though in the next few years. But true. Mate, it's I mean, yeah. I've always just lived my life at the fastest speed I can go at. I've always loved getting up in the morning, even when you don't have good days. I've always enjoyed my life, and even at the worst of times, I enjoy it even more now that I have a little girl, and we get to watch her run around and that. But
walking as well, that must be a trouble.
Yeah, I mean, mate, like you just like the any remote in the house now that I try and find, like Like I try and buzz you to get in here to open the garage up. Don't know where that's gone now. The TV remote, because I had my podcast playing in on the background. She just grabs that like it's anywhere. You don't know where it is. It's but no, it's the best. Great. But
it's awesome. Yeah,
it's like I've said this before, and I'll say this time and time again, man. I've been truly happy in life when I'm fighting for something.
Yeah,
and I've been truly. I mean, I was truly happy in the army. Like, man, doing that job, going overseas to Afghan, like, there was just nothing better. But true happiness has also been found in speaking up and now fighting for what I think is good versus evil. And a lot of people out there hate me, but there's a lot of people that love me.
Yeah.
And nor do I do it for either side. I do it because I believe it's the right thing. But there's something inside me that is truly happy when I'm fighting for something. And right now I'm fighting for something. And I'll probably be fighting for this for the rest of my life now because I absolutely love it. And I get paid to do it.
You won't be able to get a job anywhere else.
Nah, man. I was having this chat with Big Chocky the other day.
Yeah.
And because obviously he's a very dear friend of mine. We don't agree on everything. And sometimes our rules contradict each other. And someone will tag someone on his page and be like, he's talking about you. And it's like, I talk to him twice a week.
Disagree.
But also like... I don't watch his reels. He doesn't really watch mine. We're both too busy. And but I was talking to him the other day, and I forgot where I was going on this.
With the purpose of fighting?
Yeah. Anyway, I was just talking to him the other day, just saying how much of a good friend he is. And but yeah, mate, not being able to work.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, he still does personal training and stuff.
He does that. But like me and him, like dropping tools down on this sort of stuff and going back to work. Like no one, you know what I mean? Like how are we meant to work in the world?
It's hard to see how it works. Yeah.
Like I can't go make coffees for people or go work construction. Like maybe I can go work on a farm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just away from everyone. But
it's probably ideal.
In the corporate world or in the working world, that's me and him would never be able to go back there.
Yeah. But it's a great thing. Like you should take great confidence from that because we talk about the evil and we talk about the left and some of the things that we've sort of spoken about the people. It is objectively evil to be flooding our country with mass immigration just to suffocate it. It is objectively evil to be teaching kids that they could be born in the wrong body. If those people don't hate you, there are questions. And I mentioned, the words of Christ in saying that, if the world hates you, remember it hated me first. It is just so true. If you stand up for anything that is good, that is true, that is beautiful, you will be hounded. There will be people who are enemies of Christ and enemies of all of the fruits of that, which are those things that, you would hope that they're not on your side. You would hope that you would cop their derision.
Yeah. When you're on the side of, or when you're on the opposite side of people wanting to give hormone therapy to kids, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. It's a pretty good indicator.
Yeah. One of my, so my old man, he was a tough old bastard growing up. He always had this great saying with footy with me and my brother. My dad was a really good footy player growing up, but he was hard as nails. But I remember him telling us when we were very young playing footy, he goes, you love to be hated and you're hated to be loved.
Yeah.
He goes, you walk around on that footy field, like the only people on your side are the blokes wearing the same Guernsey as you.
Yeah.
And I've taken that all the way through my life in anything that I've done, right? I'm very screw you to the other side if you think opposite to me. It doesn't mean we can't have a beer after the game, but when it's game on, you are the enemy, motherfucker. 100%. And I love that you hate me. So I've always taken that in the rest of my life, and it's seemed to work out well.
Yeah.
I mean, but the fun thing is now I can call people gay and retarded, and it's no one cares.
There's no employer to come over the top, pull you into HR or anything like that.
There's no one. I am the employer, and sometimes the more I say it, the more people get attracted to this page. I try and stay away from words like that, and try and keep my keep my speech to a MA 15 plus level. But
yeah, I was going to say, you're not going to say PG, right?
No. But mate, some of these words are coming back in a big way.
Yeah, back in vogue. Well, it's just, again, it's the reaction stuff. It's like if you're told you can't say, I don't know, like you can't say something is gay, it's just like a bit of a, oh yeah, it's dumb, or it's, obviously not having a crack at, the moral worth of a gay person. You're saying they're subhuman or anything like that. When you're just saying that, it's like if you get that and you're suppressing that sort of speech, you're going to get young guys that are going to come up with a lot of worse things.
Well, Nick Fuentes now is rising up because people have been told they can't say certain words for a long time, and now he's saying it, and everyone's attracted to him for it.
Yeah, it's reactionary. Yeah. It's reactionary because you can't suppress the speech and ideas of people and not let them even be spoken about. That's the thing. You can speak them down and say that's wrong, that's stupid, this is why you shouldn't say that. But as soon as you start legislating, you actually can't say that under law, otherwise you will be prosecuted. Like there have been cases, pretty public cases in Australian politics whereby politicians have sued other politicians for what they've said. I mean, Pauline Hanson, the Marine Faruqi thing, Mark Latham and Alex Greenwich in New South Wales, and it's like whatever the speech is, and some of it might be on the more derogatory, disgusting side. If you're outlawing it, then that's going to have a pretty big impact on the rest of the country. And there's it's been a really bad year for the legislation in this country. It started in January with the hate speech stuff.
Yeah, we need a free speech amendment bill out there to literally legalise free speech and for it never be attacked again. It has to be some sort of law that can be embedded into our constitution.
Yeah, and then the alternative is more and more government involvement taking away our civil liberties. I mean, the ASIO bill that passed, I think it was last week. I know.
They'd been around for 20 odd years, but the amendments to it in regards to communal. They were saying in regards to around wording of communal violence or something. So, for example, if I came out and said Australians need to rise up against these people.
Yeah.
Bang, you're done for that. You know what I mean? But then also, if you're at a rally saying, Australians, you need to rise up, we need to push back against something, might be if the policy.
Yeah.
And then someone feels like they've been communally violated over that upon potential harm or degree, which is dictated by the government. It's like, what can we say then?
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting on a slippery slope.
Yeah,
slope.
Very fast going down. I mean, the fact that ASIO now can interview you without suspicion of crime, and it's against the law for you to tell anyone about it, and you're not allowed a lawyer in the room. You can start off with a lawyer in the room, but they can ask the lawyer to leave, and there's not a whole lot of recourse.
And then Imagine if that happens to me, right? 3 hours down at my office, my wife's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Can't tell you."
Well, that's the thing. It's pretty unique as well.
You know what?
So I think it'll give it away immediately. Like if you just went on, "Hey guys, I was interviewed for 3 hours."
You know what?
But I can't tell you about it.
You know what? For every Australian male out there that's had a few too many beers at the pub, and your wife is asking you, "Why haven't you been home for the last 3 years?" Just say, "The new ASIO amendment bill." I can't tell you.
It's a pretty good get out of jail free card.
I'm going to use that. I mean, you know what I wanted to mention before, and I see this all the time, and I just wanted to rip a few people on it. The left side of politics, they're always like, "Oh, you know, these people are coming out and speaking out against transgenderism like it's only 0.001% in society." And they're doing this to distract you from the billionaires that are controlling the show. It's like, guys, your side of politics brought this in on us, and now we're pushing back. And you're pushing back on the very thing that you brought in the first place, saying that it's a distraction from the billionaires. So who is really getting distracted here? You or I?
Yeah. No, exactly.
And
there's not a lot of sense in that logic.
Yeah, that's. Sure. I remember this guy. He was saying it and coming at me hard. And I'm like, your logic breaks down on the simple fact that you guys are the ones that brought in these laws in the first place, and we're only pushing back now, and you're upset at that, and you're their alternate structure and their default brain is just to go back to blaming billionaires. You know, like it's bloody Adrian Patelli's fault or Gina Reinhart's fault or something like that. That's a wild thing, Adrian Patelli getting...
That's right, I did see that.
Yeah, so they did a hit piece on him, and he's had this plan for 3 years.
Yep.
To move pretty much for safety concerns and stuff like that, for which I read it in. He's donated to the government $100 million over the past few years in ATO taxes and shit like that. And he's just seeing his country fall to absolute pieces. So he relocated to Italy. That's just as bad in regards to the immigration. Africans just fucking sailing across, stopping at Malta and then going over to Sicily. Going to relocate there, and then now he's choosing the UAE because it's legitimately safer than Australia. Imagine that, a first world Muslim country being safer than a first world Christian country. Like it's the truth as well. A lot of people, a lot of mates live over in the UAE now. It's very safe over there. People don't fuck around over there, mate.
Yeah, safety's one thing. The tax havens as well is another thing. Like the fact that you actually get rewarded for enterprise, that you're not hated and derided by major political parties for having done well in your life. I can understand why the appeal of Australia is, fading away for some, but for the majority of us, we know nowhere else. We're not going to go anywhere else. This
to be honest,
country, we're going to fight for it.
I could do this overseas, right? And but I don't want to. I'd rather fight and die here.
Yeah,
I'd rather.
Your word, I'd take on that more than anyone else's.
Yeah, I would honestly rather fight and die here than live overseas under some foreign rule.
Yeah,
it's just not in me. I mean, I understand that Adrian Patellis of the world and other people, and why they've left. And I'm in contact with other people as well that commentate on, the Australian tax system and why they've left. But there's just something in me. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'd rather sit in a jail cell for 35 years or the remainder of my life and say what I can say right now and stand up and fight for my country than go live overseas. I don't know what it is. You can live much better over there, but there's something in me that would just rather die or sit in jail rather than move.
Mate, it's almost like it's in your blood because you're Australian. That's it.
It's maybe we should wrap up there.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
100%. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Nah, you've been good. I mean, mate, the first 5 minutes of this podcast, that really pissed me off. That's
probably what it got you fired up for the whole.
Yeah, that got me really angry, mate. I mean, I said a fair bit of shit. I don't normally swear this much on a podcast, right? But
don't you have to get past the first 10 minutes without it, or?
Yeah, I'm not even, mate. Yeah, you do. So you have to get past the first 10 minutes without swearing on
for YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm potentially going to have to go beep out a few lines here in the first 10 minutes because it pulls the algorithm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that was alarming.
Yeah, what they're doing in schools across the country is just it's predatory, and we'll be having a lot more to say on it in the coming weeks. Just got to kill this bill in Victoria first. I see that as a distraction for what we uncovered on Carl's and what we've spoken about today with the sex ed, with the basic pornography in classrooms, and from organisations that provide transgender surgeries and abortions. Like, there's clearly an agenda here. They're making a lot of money. It's coming from the government. It's coming from us. Like, we're paying for this. So yeah, just got to defeat this bill first, and then we'll get cracking on that.
Our government also funds these transgender lobbying groups as well to lobby back to Parliament for these very rules that have been brought in. It's disgusting, mate.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take them down.
The IPA have done a mountain of work. Jordan Abuzaid, one of the guys at the IPA, has done a big level of work on the NGOs and basically this industrial complex in the country of left-wing NGOs that are just fully government funded. It's the same thing as this. So they earn the SRHA that I spoke about earlier, they're, I think, 85% government funded. And it's generally state governments as well, which is an interesting part of it, through the Department of Health as well. So it's very, there's a little bit of education funding, all this sort of stuff, but there's a web, and I'm sure what we've uncovered isn't even half of it. So,
well, let's keep banging it in, and let's keep hammering these pricks until we get the majority of Australians on our side to then change the rules, rip the funding away, and put it back into young Australian families to get our birth rate up so we don't have to import the third world.
I agree with that. Amen.
And on that, Ed Schuller, thanks for coming in, mate. It's always been good, and you're always welcome back whenever you want. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Two Worlds Collide podcast. If you guys enjoyed the episode, or you just enjoy what I do in general, then you can head to my website. Link is in the description, where you can buy some merch or jump on my Patreon program. What's your thoughts?